A quick recap from episode 1. I'm Ed, I own a video production company in Hertfordshire, England, help my girlfriend grow her online business, and I'm starting a side hustle. The plan is to help YouTubers get more likes, subscribers, comments, and link clicks with animations they can add to their videos, as well as to build a network of affiliates who have YouTube channels where their content is excellent, but their following size doesn't reflect it. So I can help to support them financially on their journey too. So in this episode, you join me at the birth of the product, where I'm going to hire someone overseas in the Philippines to design my graphics for me. So the first thing I need to do is design the animations. The animations are going to be like, subscribe, comments, and link animations, like this. By now the site is live, so check them out with the link below. Now the first issue I have is you can get these for free online anywhere. Not these exact designs, but other ones. Many of them have green backgrounds that you key out, but they're not really the best. They're okay. If you pay a little bit more, you can get better. And I also believe in marketing, brand, and building communities. So in a future episode, I'll go over that and how I think these things have the power to sell products, even if there are free options out there. So there's a few things I'm going to need to build my product. The first is designs. The second is animation. Now you could find an animator who does the designs too, but I'm lucky enough to have worked with a designer who I trust that I think will do a good job. I could go looking for a new freelancer, but that would mean going through tons of applications on Upwork, Fiverr, and then building rapport and trust, and then it's just a bit of a struggle when someone's ready and waiting. Until Corona decided to impact our production company, I had a full-time designer working for us in the Philippines who I hired from a website called OnlineJobs.ph. So she was full-time, she took care of thumbnails, Instagram images, posting social media, loads of stuff. It was really helpful. The first thing is she clearly enjoyed the design aspect, and I believe if you only give people work they love, you'll get really good results. So getting the designs done by her seemed like an obvious thing to do. So I thought she'd enjoy it too, so I hired her for an entire month. I've popped a link in the description to the online jobs platform if you kind of want to check out hiring creatives overseas. By the way, it takes a special kind of thinker to outsource overseas. Most people won't. They fear what they don't understand. It's pretty helpful that actually you've been to the Philippines and you get a bit of an idea of the culture doing that and realise that if they work at 4 AM in the morning their time, it's actually quite normal. This channel is going to help you get over that fear and find amazing people around the world. So hit subscribe to join me when I start getting into that. Now the initial conversations were kind of tricky. I went and made the ultimate mistake when working with a freelance creative. Now I told you in episode 1 I'd make a lot of mistakes and I'd let you know what they were, and this one is a good one and a really common one when working with freelancers. I basically said, can you design me 25 different themes, 4 different animations, so 100 graphics in total? That was it. When you employ a freelance designer, you can't expect them to just magic up quality from nothing. Now, this is where working with a designer you've worked with comes in handy, because she reminded me that pulling designs out of thin air with no brief is not the way to work. Now, I don't know if anyone else has found this, but from working with different cultures, I've found they don't often speak up when you might expect, say, a British person to. So, for example, I'm almost certain if I'd not already been working with this person for a while, they would have taken my awful brief and gone and made something that wasn't up to the standard they can hit. But they wouldn't have wanted to seem like they were speaking out. And if you're new to outsourcing, you blame them. This puts pressure back on me because I don't have time to come up with a really detailed brief. Now, if you're a designer, please cover your ears. The thing about design is you don't always have to come up with something new. If you're stuck for ideas, just copy someone else. Okay, I don't mean copy. I mean take what you love and change it. It won't end up looking like a copy at all, and using other people's work as a template will ensure you don't fall into the design traps good designers will have avoided. Luckily, I had a list of YouTubers that I was planning on reaching out to become affiliates for these products, so I thought let's design them based on their channel artwork and start to start with, and they'll actually work quite nicely in their favour too, because they'll be able to have their fans use their branding. So I sent my designers their YouTube channels to work with their existing artwork, and from there things moved. What you can see now on your screen are some of the graphics. Now, my designer's professional enough to be able to work with this, still pretty limited brief. That's a sign you've got a good freelancer. The biggest issue I have with people working with overseas freelancers is if you're not a creative, it's very hard to give a brief to someone. You kind of want them to come up with that creative aspect. So here's a graphic I asked someone to make with an awful brief and another where I gave them more detail. You need to know how to give creative feedback, which means understanding a bit about design already to get the best results. And actually, it's what lets down websites like Upwork, Fiverr and Online Jobs. There's great talent on there, but they need a brief, as detailed as you can give them. If you can't do this, you'll need to find a designer who can recognize it straight away and step in with advice, which you can get on places like Upwork, but it's going to cost you more. So a few weeks later, my designs are ready and signed off, and the whole thing was an incredibly seamless experience. Now I need my animator to bring them to life, and this is the nerve-wracking part. I have £1,000 to spend and half of it, more than half, is gone. I've not worked with animators before, so it's time to experiment. So let's see what happened here. So I decided to check out Fiverr to start. I've used it a couple of times before. It's pretty easy. There's a huge list of animators, actually too many. I'm struggling to find ones and I'm running out of time as it's vast. So instead, I'm going to write up a job description and have people apply and leave it 24 hours. So here's my job description. Feel free to pause that and have a read. For me, it's about keeping it short enough so they don't get bored reading it, but detailed enough for them to quote. I always add a secret word too, so in your description, add a secret word for them to start their pitch back to you with, so that you can ignore any who have applied without that secret word. So let's go back to the next day. Okay, so there are a lot of replies here. I don't really know what to look for. I figure that I really need to reach out and offer to pay 3 of them for one demo animation to get a taste of what it's like to work with them and their work. I'm looking for someone who could be a long-term partner here. So I've found 3 whose stuff looks really great, and I'm just gonna start the conversation. Okay, so I've already eliminated one because they struggled to understand the brief, and it's harsh, but I don't have the time to explain more, especially as the other 2 have already understood it pretty easily. What's amazing is one of the applicants has already animated a design for me and they sent it over, and I love it. I mean, they've really gone one step ahead. Now, there's a lesson to be learned here, especially if you're planning on offering a service as your side hustle. If you want a job, go above and beyond to get it. The risk is that on these platforms, there are a lot of time wasters, so you've got to pick your battles. I still wouldn't advise doing the work unless they offered to pay you. I didn't even get a chance to offer to pay for this, it just came over. The other option, this is what I do to win over prospects in my production company, is to make them a personal video, introduce yourself, show some testimonials, talk about the project and show examples, then make a thumbnail that looks like this, and send it via email. I'd say 80 to 90% of the time this lands a client, or at least progresses the conversation. But you need to be sure they're worth all of this time. So it's 24 hours later and the second applicant still hasn't sent theirs. I've messaged and they said they'll do it now, but I know who I'm going to go for already at this stage. So I'm going to commission the one who sent the demo. So in this next part of the process, I set deliverables and made sure the project was clear. From the conversation we're having, I'm confident she understands, but I've asked her to do a couple more so I can then give her some feedback and then move on from there. So the first animations have come in. Now there is a slight issue in that there are a couple that didn't have any sound, but otherwise, no comment, they're good. So fast forward a bit, and basically there were some amendments, but all in all, a real pleasure to work with. I gave her a tip and now my project is ready, kind of, because I've made another mistake. You see, I want to sell one pack of animations with a ton of different colour options. I've had 100 made, I need 500, so that means changing the colours to make 500, because I want these to work for people who don't have the ability to customise them. There's a market for fancy templates you can edit. From my experience, they're clunky and I often regret buying them, so I want these to be drop and go, which means they need more choice to fit into people's desired styles. So guess who's going to do that? Because I basically spent my entire budget on designs and animation, so I've got to do everything now until money starts coming in. So this is Final Cut Pro. In here, I've lined up all of the animations as events, and I'm going to spend 5 hours changing colours and then exporting all of these to folders to be sold on the site. It's a big job, so I'm up at 5 AM every morning before I start work to do it. I have to ask myself, how much extra would this have cost to get someone to do it? £200? Is it worth me sitting up doing this? No, not really, but I'm kind of enjoying it, so I crack on, and it's given me a chance to kind of check them roughly. So it took me about a month from design to completion, but I now have my product, 500 glorious animations. Now, of course, I've been working on other things during this, so in the next couple of episodes, I'm going to take you through building website branding and the tools I'm going to use to try and flog this bad boy. So hit subscribe and join me on that, and hopefully it will inspire you to start your own side hustle or to set up your marketing on an existing one.